Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. Have you ever wondered what it's like to perform in Paris as a musician, songwriter? Well, today you're going to learn. I speak to Tim Watt, and he's originally from England, but we talk all about what it's like to move to Paris and start your singing career. So welcome to the show, Tim.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
I'm very excited to chat with you today. You have been a busy man on the music scene in Paris, but I always like to go back to where your roots began, where you're from, and what brought you here.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's been a long time I've been involved in the music scene, well over 20 years since I was in high school bands, and then branching out into other types of band projects, and always been a big focus on my solo music and performing locally where I'm from in Hertfordshire. And then as I sort of got older in my early 20s, then branching out into the city, into London, and performing the London scene. And then as time goes on, I became a bit more adventurous, seeing what more challenges I could set myself, and starting to play outside of the UK. And did one show in Las Vegas, and then did 5 nights in New York, and a small tour in Amsterdam. Then I sort of got the kind of the buzz for wanting to play in other countries, and always looking for new places. And in between that, in 2012, I met my now wife, and that was because I'd gone to Paris to play my first show there. And then we lived together for about a year in London. And in between that, she would go back and visit her parents, and I would accompany her. And I would each time see a little bit more different sides of Paris. And after every trip, I was feeling, this is really speaking to me. This city, I'm really enjoying when I spend time here. And then in the summer of 2013 was when the opportunity presented to move to Paris, really. And we actually moved together at the same time to Paris. And and then that began a whole new adventure, and opening new doors to my music on the Paris music scene.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. Breaking into the Paris music scene, was that difficult? Were you welcomed with open arms? Like, how do you even start, working here in the music scene?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I arrived in Paris, my French was very minimal. I think, like a lot of expats arriving, they kind of learn as they go when they're arriving in the city. So I think the first few years maybe were a bit tough, connecting with the Parisian crowd, especially with my French being rather weak, and in between songs not being able to kind of converse in French with the French public. And obviously, they see that you are a British musician. It can maybe be a bit intimidating coming in on the Paris music scene there. But I think as the years have gone by, I've certainly obviously become more Parisian in my ways, and obviously with my language becoming more stronger, being able to converse with the audience, I think has really sort of helped. And also incorporating a bit of French, like I do a cover of a Leonard Cohen song called "The Partisan," which has a French passage in there, which is a nice little connection with the audience. And more recently, I fulfilled an ambition of mine in writing my first song in French, "Je n'ai pas les mots pour dire." So that's also a nice touch that I can introduce that into my live set now. Some more French singing.
That's fantastic. Your first song in French. What was that like to write in French? Like that's probably like completely different for your brain.
For sure, yeah, it was definitely something that I wanted to do, but I didn't rush at doing that because I knew that I need to get myself to a certain level with my French and comfortability with taking on such a huge task as that. Um, and yeah, it was a really, really interesting experience writing my first song in another language. But my wife was there to just help with certain nuances that maybe needed to be slightly adjusted in the wording, but there wasn't much change required. And just maybe she helped me with a few of the pronunciations on the words and singing when I recorded the actual song to make sure it was perfect, because I wanted it to be perfect in French. But yeah, it was a really great process, and I hope that I can do that again, and maybe add a little bit more to my repertoire. But yeah, I was really happy to achieve that recently. But that took me a good 10 years before I felt really comfortable in writing in another language.
Yeah, congratulations. That's no small feat. And talk a little bit about your writing process. So, where do these ideas come from? How long does it take you to write a song?
Sure. Well, I do kind of take the side of Leonard Cohen. I'm not sure if you're more familiar, but he for sure took his time with writing songs. There's quite a funny story where he met Bob Dylan and he asked him about a song he liked. And Bob Dylan asked him, "How long did it take you to write Hallelujah?" And he said, 6 years, when actually it took him something like 8 or 9 years or something. And he asked Dylan, "How long did you take to write this song?" And he said, 15 minutes. So I think when it comes to songwriters, there can be some that can produce work very rapidly in that kind of time span, whereas I do take more longer in the process and fine tuning everything. Um, but yeah, I feel like it's kind of when I'm creating it's kind of I feel it's like a channeling process. Like I'm tapping into something bigger than myself. Um, I'm always staying open and receptive to receive it, but I feel like your mind sometimes has to be in the right kind of place. A bit like kind of a transmitter tuning into the right frequency, and yeah, like kind of casting the net out into the ocean and seeing what you get back. Sometimes you may get it in abundance, sometimes you may get a fragment, and you have to work with that. So that's always kind of how I've felt with this creative process.
Yeah, many of our artists have said, I don't know where it came from. It just
Mm,
came to me. And it sounds like that's a common occurrence for you too. And like you said, it might be fragmented. So you have to kind of fill in
yeah.
the spaces. And how do you know when a song is finished?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know whether a song really ever is finished. I've become more open to it now, like recording songs and putting them on Spotify and Apple Music, these things. But in the past, I was really kind of reluctant to officially publish my songs because they were always constantly evolving, or little, nuances that were changing all the time in the song. So I know that some artists find it difficult to crystallize that song in a recording because, as I say, songs are continually evolving. And going back to, I could say one of my big influences, Leonard Cohen, who often says he's like constantly working on these songs for decades, and you find new meanings in the songs. So yeah, I do find submitting my music, publishing it out there in the public, quite a difficult process, because I feel like it's never truly finished. You can always continue polishing the stone, and or maybe finding new elements to it. So it's a tricky process for me.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And what are your feelings about Spotify? I know a lot of artists like struggle with it. They're thinking, they're kind of not super paying me for my work, or what are your feelings on it?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of various talk about Spotify, and for me, personally, when it comes to my music, it's never been about the money. Um, it's more been about the reach, like, reaching new people with the music, touching people with my music. So the money side of things is really secondary. Of course, it's fantastic if I manage to get some money through playing a concert or free streams, of course. But yeah, it's always been kind of secondary to me. I know there are some musicians where it's very tunnel vision on the money, and maybe there is a show being offered to them, but they're not going to get paid for it, so they don't want to do it. Whereas I've done many shows in Paris where they are free, or maybe people can't give me the money, or maybe they just give me a few free drinks or whatever, and I'll do it. Like as I say, it comes sort of secondary to me, and it's not my primary goal in terms of what I'm doing.
Definitely. And it's nice when you can have that freedom, because I think it's easier to be creative when you're not worried about paying your rent sometimes.
Well, I mean, I've always done my music, and then on the other side, always worked a 9 to 5 job. It's not feasible for me in my life to just do the music. Of course, I would love to do that, but I've always needed the financial income coming in through 9 to 5 work. So I'm very much used to that. It's back in the day, it was quite crazy in the UK when I'd be working this 9 to 5 office job and almost out playing a show every night, coming back in the middle of the night, getting up for work the next day. It's a bit less intense than that now, these days. But yeah, I've always kind of balanced the working world and then my creative side outside of that life.
Yeah, that's good to be able to do that. And you've been compared to legends like Leonard Cohen, Bob Dylan. How do you balance honoring those influences with finding your own voice?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those types of influences are just on a mastery level. They always will be people that I aspire, if I can get anywhere close to their kind of level. But I do like setting the bar high, and I think to produce really great music, you need to have really strong influences, and I really do feel that they are my mentors, and always making me strive to push the bar as possibly high as I can. Um, so yeah, I would be honored if anyone put me in a category with those types of artists.
And what role does vulnerability play in your songwriting? Do you find it easier to be honest in music than daily life?
Yeah, I mean, I think vulnerability is actually quite important. Once again, to go back to Leonard Cohen, I've studied the man very greatly, and he was very vulnerable and doubted himself over and over again. When many people would call him a master of his craft, and yeah, I do feel that I want to always remain humble. And I do think that sometimes I have come across artists maybe who I feel maybe have a bit of a big head on them, like a big ego, and actually there's not much substance sort of behind that. And I think retaining that kind of vulnerability, even fragility, I think there you can see some interesting things happen with the creative process. Um, because we cannot be certain with everything that we're producing how that's going to be seen by the public or how it's presented. So yeah, I think I've never lost that kind of that kind of humble element to when I'm creating.
Yeah, you just never know. And it takes bravery for anyone to share something they've made because you don't know how people are going to respond. So it can be scary. And what's your favorite Parisian spot to find inspiration? Do you like to hang out in cafes? Are there any like music scene places you want to share with the audience?
Well, I've spent most of my the last decade in the 19th arrondissement of Paris. It's actually where my wife grew up and with her parents. And yeah, it's definitely my favorite arrondissement. I spend so much time here, but I really do feel like it's a hidden gem of Paris. And yeah, there's so much there in terms of culturally, like music, arts, visually as well, like walks along the canal, the Butte Chaumont. Yeah, I like the urban working style of the 19th as well. I feel like it's connected really to the heart of the Parisian working class community. So yeah, I really would say around the 19th arrondissement is a good spot, and maybe somewhere where tourists so much are spending less of their time when they come to visit Paris, when actually there's some really beautiful spots to that maybe they miss out on.
Definitely. I think everyone sticks to the basics, the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, Montmartre, but there's so much more to Paris and you can't be afraid to venture out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice about being a musician, what would it be?
That's another good question. Yeah, I would say you know what, I don't know whether I would change anything that I've done. I'm very proud of what I did as a young man and the amount of effort that I put in. So I don't think there's anything so much that I would change. Um, I mean, if it were in terms of kind of quote unquote making it, I think it would be to maybe make more recordings, to put yourself more out there online. Uh, in the days of MySpace, when I was doing the music, I was the kind of late arriving to that kind of scene, but there was many people that broke out into that through that kind of scene. And I think maybe if you had someone who marketed you in the right way, maybe it would push you into the right kind of spheres, and maybe then you would see that big success arrive. But at the same time, like I say, I don't really regret anything that I've done. I'm very proud of everything I've done, although it's been very much on the independent scene side of things, but still had a great experience in terms of being able to play in my dream spots like New York, and now in Paris. If I had have said to myself as a younger man that you would be living and performing regularly in Paris, I would already be kind of bowled over by that. So yeah, I'm kind of proud anyway, where I am, and I wouldn't feel like I'd want to kind of intervene with my younger self and just let that kind of process be.
Yeah, definitely. I think that that's something we all need to do more of is like go back and think about what, yourself 20 years ago would think of your life today. It would probably be like, what?
Yeah, for sure.
Really? And do you find a difference in the way that audiences in the States or London respond versus how French audiences respond to your music?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in the UK, live music is really in our culture, especially on the pub scene. Every other pub in the UK has acoustic live music, whereas in Paris, it is less so. Obviously, there are pubs, so to speak, in Paris, but that do these live musics. But often there will actually be things like Irish pubs or Scottish pubs with this UK influence. Um, so it is a different style in Paris. The crowd can be a little bit more reserved. I do feel like, going back to what I was saying earlier, is perhaps when I didn't speak French at the start, it's harder to connect with the crowd. But then when you're more confident with speaking the language, you can connect more with the Parisian locals. And as I said, like through performing some songs, perhaps in French, and that kind of thing is nice, because obviously with hearing a full set like in English, it's nice to obviously throw in some French where you can to connect with that crowd. So yeah, it's definitely different vibes. I feel now when I go back to the UK, for example, and perform, it's so much easier. Like talking with the crowd in between songs, and it's just I know there is no lost in translation elements, these types of things. So it is definitely different style in terms of the performing element, but it certainly improved me as a performer. Really made me a more of an all-round confident performer in that sense.
Definitely. Performing for all different people in all different countries makes a difference. And you've been performing since the early 2000s. So what has changed most about the music scene since you started?
Yeah, quite a lot. I remember when I was performing in the bars, showing my age now, but that people were smoking in the bars, and it was full of smoke, smokers, these types of things, and even just little things like that, like which is like so much different now. Um, I think um, it is a bit tricky nowadays, especially with the digital age and people with their phones. And, sometimes you'll see people in a bar and they're all on their phones, even a group around the table, are quite disconnected from one another. And I think when I was performing in like the early 2000s, the smartphone wasn't really a thing. So the people that were there were a lot more kind of tuned in to what was happening on stage, whereas nowadays maybe there's a little bit too much distraction or shorter attention span. But that being said, there are still people that come that truly want to hear the music and definitely hone into it. But it is a different ball game, certainly in 2025 versus 20 years ago, so to speak.
I love that. Yeah, it definitely makes a difference with the cell phone thing. And yeah, I mean, I love this photographer. He had taken pictures of people in the street and he just removed their phones, and it's just everyone staring at their hand. And it just makes you realize like how much we're all just staring down all the time. We're all going to have hunchbacks one day.
For sure.
So if Paris were a song, how would you describe it and what genre would it be?
Paris for a song. Well, I would say to listen to the audience to listen to my song "Je n'ai pas les mots pour dire," because I think I managed to encapsulate like a very Parisian French style old chanson français. So yeah. We can't help but kind of hark back to the old days of music, Edith Piaf, and all this kind of that real, like I say, chanson française element. So that was kind of I really kind of, okay, this is my first song that I'm going to do in French, so I'm going to go full out French with this song. So that's kind of like what I went with that particular number. But obviously things have become more modernized now, and I know, like when I speak with French natives like my wife, like when we talk about like Edith Piaf, these kind of thing, it's like, yeah, okay, great, but like that was a long time ago, and now we're did that. So it's also important as well to remain in present day, and what are maybe some new sounds or new representations of French music that we could be looking at.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was surprised to learn how big rap is in France. Like I didn't really know that was a thing until I got here, and they have some really good and famous artists in the rap scene.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is again like when I kind of arrived, even when I arrived 12 years ago in Paris, I really do feel like, yeah, rap and jazz and electro are really like, I feel like the top three for me, like coming into to Paris. So yeah, the acoustic singer-songwriter scene is a slightly more, sparse, but it does exist. And I wasn't even sure coming here whether there would be much room for me to be able to play many shows. But I actually got quite surprised when you dig in deeper. You actually do find these scenes that exist.
Yeah, are there any places that you recommend for people visiting Paris that want to see live music, that just want to see someone like yourself? Like, what are some places we can find that information, or even like places to go?
Well, it's constantly changing, if I'm honest. There are some places that I played like in the early days that maybe have closed down, unfortunately. I did used to like a music venue called La Popine, for example. I don't know if you knew that one, but that got closed down. There's many. Unfortunately, this isn't just Paris. This is now becoming a trend in New York and London and all over that. Some great little music spots more for kind of the unsigned independent musicians that are getting closed down, maybe because through complaints through neighbors, noise levels, these types of things. So I must admit, it is quite sad that there have been quite a few places that have closed down in Paris that I would have normally have recommended previously. But yeah, there are. I would say to maybe check out the open mic scenes. You can easily just Google like open mics Paris. I know that people attending open mics are always, welcome of having spectators coming in hearing their music. So that way you can kind of get some surprises. And also the spoken word events that I used to attend quite often, au Chat Noir and Culture Rapide. You also get musicians play there, and then you get a mix of spoken word poetry. So you get a bit of both worlds as well, which can be quite interesting.
Yeah, I love the open mic scene in Paris. It's actually really big and a lot in English too. And
Mm.
it's fun to connect with people that way too. I know a lot of people just passing through make friends that way too. So it's
Yes.
good to check out open mics. And do you have any pre show rituals or superstitions before going on stage?
Pre-show rituals? No, just a lot of self-doubt and overthinking. I've I try not to. I've tried not to write set lists. There are some artists, I think Jack White, and there are some other sort of people who try and avoid a set list, and I'll more just kind of get out there on stage and then kind of try to feel the audience. Like, what are they more expecting from me? Do they want like more kind of louder, raucous sounds? Do they want more softer? um, Melodic sounds, and trying to kind of like um, you know adapt with the audience. I like kind of doing that. So I also quite like the spontaneity of coming on stage, and I've met some musicians who are very kind of rigorous and everything must be in its right place and perfect. And going back to, like I say, I like kind of the fragility kind of on stage, and what kind of surprises maybe could happen on stage. So not kind of overthinking too much the process.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Don't overthink it. Just go with the flow, see what
Yeah.
happens. And do you have any crazy stories of things happening while on stage?
Crazy stories. In Paris, nothing comes to mind. I think there was a drunk guy once. He came up and he slipped €10 inside my t-shirt like I was a table dancer or something. whilst I was in the middle of me playing a song. That was quite interesting. But no, I think well, generally when I'm playing my acoustic solo music, it's not crazy kind of rock and roll stories. In the UK, I did play in many bands and had some crazy times, like guitarists jumping into the drum kit and all these different things. But yeah, no, I think it's kind of, as getting older, it's a little bit less dangerous on stage these days.
Yeah, people slipping money into your t-shirt. And how would you define creativity in your own words?
How would I define creativity? So, yeah, a little bit kind of like again, as I was talking about earlier, I do feel it is like a channeling process. Yeah, tapping into that higher power, an unknown consciousness, and being receptive to it. I do feel that sometimes if the mind is not in the right place, then I could go months, or I've even gone sometimes over a year or so with not much coming through, and then you can go. You're receiving things like every other day or every other week. So I feel like it's kind of capturing that lightning in the bottle. Like when you have a creative moment, and you can feel that this energy is coming through, is to capture as much of it as you can, like I say, in that bottle, because then you don't know how long it's going to last, and it's going to drift away until you get maybe like another sort of transmission come through. I feel that happens a lot, very much in your younger years, in your early 20s, and I feel like going back, when you said about advice to younger self, I would have said, yeah, whilst you're getting this energy coming through, just write as much as you possibly can, and capture it all now. So I really do feel it's kind of like receiving these kind of signals. There are moments where I get like an abundance of creativity, and then times where there's not much going on. But I've always never wanted to force that process. I've always wanted it to just be natural and allow it to come to me. And if there's nothing coming through right now, then there's nothing. I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to allow it to come and present itself to me, and then go from there. So that's kind of how I've always sort of operated, really.
Well, I think that's a beautiful note to end on. And where can people connect with you, listen to your music, and learn more?
Sure. I mean, I'm on all the major platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, if you search my name, Tim Watt. Also YouTube, I have lots of videos, music videos, live performances. If you search Tim Watt, you'll find all the details on there. And within all of that, you'll find all my other links to socials, Instagram, Tim Watt Official. So very easy to find me just through searching my name. It will take you to all of those branches.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today. And we're going to end with a little bit of your music.
Thank you so much, Crystal.
Walking liberated streets, walls are lost or left behind. Everything that's once before is once behind. There's laughter in the cabaret, and embracing in the theater foyer. As the bells of celebration ring out to a new hope we find. But I still hear the sound of that soldier's song. I feel it coming around, then it's gone. In time, in the remnants of my mind. The remnants of my mind. Everyone is coming alive. The crowds, they cheer in jubilation. It's a ticker tape parade. just the four is once to hide. As I still hear the sound of that soul